Is the Motorola Moto G Play 2023 worth buying in 2024? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, and this is the Motorola Moto G Play 2023. Now, the Moto G Play 2024 was just launched. In fact, I just covered it pretty recently on my channel. So I figured I'd also make this video looking back on the Moto G Play 2023, considering that this phone has now been out for well over a year at this point. Now, since being launched, the Moto G Play 2023 has been very successful. This phone was sold through multiple carriers, in addition to being sold factory unlocked. And I think one of the things that made this phone especially desirable is that it's very affordable. In fact, this device featured an original MSRP of just $169. Now at this point, you can buy the device for even cheaper than that. I just saw that Best Buy is actually offering it for just $99. So just know that if you want to save a lot of money on a smartphone in 2024, you might want to actually consider going for this device. Now the Moto G Play 2024 actually has a lower MSRP than this phone did, but that device is being offered for $149. So if you want to buy this phone brand new at this point, it's still $50 cheaper than its successor. But before we get too far into things here with the Moto G Play 2023, let's see what all comes included in the box. So here is the box. You can see right there the name of the phone. This is eco-friendly packaging, which is pretty cool. And then in the box, we're getting a SIM card removal tool. We're also getting some literature here. We're also getting a 10-watt USB wall adapter. And then finally, we are getting a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer, with one of those ends being USB-A. Now with the Moto G Play 2023, we're getting a very large display at 6.5 inches. So even though this is a very low-end affordable smartphone, we're actually getting a really big display with this phone. So you're getting a very large canvas for watching video content, going on social media, browsing the web. All of that is way more convenient on a bigger display like we're getting with this device. Now, in addition to the display being 6.5 inches, it's also IPS LCD, and we are getting a 90 Hz refresh rate here with the device. So as you can see, things move very smoothly here, even though this phone is very low end and doesn't even have that powerful of a processor in it. But you can see it's very well optimized so that it's able to run as smoothly as it does. This is especially impressive because since this phone was launched, it has been updated to Android 13. So even though this phone got a whole new version of Android, it still runs very smoothly and everything is very well optimized. Now there are some downsides with the display here on the device. Unfortunately, it is 720p, but again, for a phone in this segment, that's not necessarily that big of a deal. Now with this device, we're getting a PPI of 270, we're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor, which is very consistent with modern smartphones nowadays. And we're getting a 79.7% screen-to-body ratio. So we are getting a pretty thick bottom bezel here, but at least on the sides of the device, the bezels are pretty small. And then up top here, we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera. And then the camera up here is 5 megapixels. Now internally, with the Moto G Play 2023, unfortunately, we're only getting 32 gigabytes of storage. So I do wish we had more. I feel like at this point, 64 gigs is kind of the minimum as far as having enough storage where you can download apps and really enjoy the device. But I suppose if you're really looking to save money and go for this phone, then you can probably get by with 32 gigs. Now there is no wireless charging with the Moto G Play 2023, which is unfortunate, but this phone does feature a fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone. So let's give it a try right now. There we go. We'll try it one more time. And there we go. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily the fastest fingerprint sensor out there, but at least we have it. Now, unfortunately, there is no face unlock with the Moto G Play 2023, so you are pretty much limited to either the fingerprint sensor or putting in a code to get into the phone. Now, with this device, we are getting a triple camera setup on the back of the phone. So we're getting a 16 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera for portrait mode, and a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. And then this phone does support portrait mode for both the rear and front cameras, which I know a lot of people really like that feature. But pulling up the camera app here, this is with the main rear camera right now. We'll take a photo, and then we can take a look at the results. Pull that up here, and you can see things do look really nice and crisp and clear. There we go, the HDR was just applied. So definitely a nice looking image from the device. We can also go over to here to get to the macro camera, and then with that, we can get very close up and have things be in really nice, crisp detail here. We also have portrait mode. So with portrait mode, you can get those blurred out backgrounds. We also have the option to adjust, so you can do full frame, you could do 3x4, you can also do 9x16 or 16x9, which is great for video thumbnails. So lots of different options when it comes to the camera app here. And then under the More tab, there's even spot color. So you can pick out a specific color, and then it grayscales everything else, which is a little bit difficult to do here with this background. But the point is that we're getting a lot of different cameras with this device. I'll pull up the selfie camera as well. So there we go, there's me right there. So there's also a group selfie option, and then we can take portrait selfies. So again, even though this is a lower end phone, very low end in fact, we are still getting a lot of different cameras here with the device, which is nice. Now internally here, we're getting 3 gigabytes of RAM paired up with the MediaTek Helio G37 processor. So this phone unfortunately is not compatible with 5G networks, so it is limited to just 4G LTE. Now at this point in 2024, I do feel like you probably should try to get a 5G phone if you're gonna put in all the time and effort of buying a brand new smartphone, just that you're able to use your carrier's latest and greatest network. But I suppose if you really don't care a ton, you can get by with 4G LTE. And if you're going to be spending such a low amount of money on this device anyway, you're probably only going to use it for a couple of years. And I think 4G will be fine for the next few years especially. But that combination of that processor and that much RAM definitely won't give you the fastest device out there. So this phone can be a little bit sluggish from time to time. I mentioned earlier in the video that it does a good job at least powering the 90 Hz refresh rate, but when you're actually trying to do any processes here on the phone that really require any sort of power here from the phone, it sometimes can be a bit of a struggle. So I would really only get this phone if you need a reliable smartphone for the more basic tasks that you do on a device. So phone calls, text messages, occasional app usage, occasional email. I don't think you're going to be frustrated with this phone, but definitely if you're just using this phone all the time, I could definitely see some frustrations with potential slowdowns here. Now, video recording with this phone does max out at 1080p for both the rear and front-facing cameras, so no 4K video. And then the battery with this device is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, and it does max out at up to 10 watt fast charging. So fortunately, we do have a 10 watt charger in the box. That's fantastic, but 10 watt fast charging is really hardly fast charging at this point. I mean, there's phones that I've been covering here in the channel that have 100 watt fast charging. So 10% of that really isn't good at all. And then pairing that up with a very large 5,000 milliamp hour battery means that you probably will have to wait quite a bit of time for the phone to recharge. So I could see some frustrations with that. And then unfortunately with this phone, there is no NFC. So if you do like to use your device for tap and pay, you cannot do that here. I suppose if you pair up this phone with an Android Wear device that has NFC, then you can kind of get around that. But if you do like to just use your regular smartphone to make payments, then you're not going to be able to do that here with the Moto G Play 2023. Now, taking a closer look at the hardware of this device, the phone is made completely of plastic. But that is not really a problem considering that it is a very affordable lower end device. I do like that it's a matte finish in the back of the phone because it doesn't really pick up any fingerprints. So overall, it's actually a pretty stylish handset, and it does look a lot more expensive than it actually is. On the left side of the phone, we have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. On the right side, we have volume up, volume down, and the power button. Then up top here, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, and then we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the device, we have the microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the speaker. And then on the back of the device, we have the triple camera setup, flash, and the Motorola logo, which doubles as the fingerprint sensor. But this concludes my video on the Motorola Moto G Play 2023 in 2024. Do you think this phone is still a worthy option? And are some of those deals that are going on right now, such as being able to get the phone for $100, tempting to you? I'm really curious to know, so definitely let me know in the comments section below. But this is Kevin here. This is the Moto G Play 2023, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.